Today we're going to start a new addition to the meditation program. As you may have seen yesterday, we sent you a schedule, Sutta discussion schedule. Some of you were there last year for the Sutta discussion series, but we were mainly focusing on the Majjhima Nikaya, especially special sutras about different philosophical, doctrinal topics of Majjhima Nikaya. This time I chosen Samyutta Nikaya, which has short type of sutras, but give a lot of meanings, doctrinal and a lot of other spiritual meanings. And I'm happy to have this initiated at a time when the government of Sri Lanka has declared this week it's a Tripitaka week, right? So they are doing a lot of things to promote Tripitaka. So we're going to start, giving this Dhamma discussion, during the Tripitaka week. Did anybody of you get any time to take a look of this sutra or the abstract of the sutra? Okay. The sutta that we're going to talk about today is Oghatarana Sutta, the first sutta of Samyutta Nikaya. Okay, Oghatarana Sutta. Does anybody of you know what is Ogha? What is Ogha in Pali? Flood. It's a flood, right? Okay, let's take a look at the sutta, right? The usual thing happens. This is the background story of the sutta. One time Buddha was staying, in the Anathapindika's monastery, Jetanarama, and late at night, a glorious deity lighting up the entire Jetas grove went up to the Buddha, bowed and stood to one side and said to him, okay, he raised a question. That was the main thing that that was discussed in the sutta. Dear sir, how did you cross the flood? So the flood is mainly samsara, okay? But flood has four main areas in this sutta too. Even we take it as samsara, but what is samsara? What do we call samsara? So there are four types of floods. We call them caturoragha. So ogha means flood, but caturoragha, there are four floods which make up samsara. Kamoga, bhavoga, dittoga, avijjo. So say kama, bhava, ditta, ditti, avijja. So these are the four things that make up samsara. If you say you are in samsara, you are not in literally technically samsara, you are with these four floods. You are carried out by these four floods. That is what you mean samsara. Now Buddha has to answer to this question. The question was, how did you cross the flood? The question was raised by a deity. But before we talk about what Buddha said to the deity, let's take a look at what these four floods are. I'm actually taking the commentarial views of what they are. Okay, what is kamoga? What's the first flood which you call sensual pleasures? Okay, what is it? Tatta panchasu kama gunesu chandarago kamogo nama. So that's how the Pali commentarial interpretation was given. Panchasu kama gunesu chandarago. So what does it mean? Desire for five kama gunesu, five pleasures. What are the five pleasures in the Buddhist teachings? Rupa, Saddha, Gandha, Rasa, Pottabha. Right. So these are the let's define what they are. Rupa means images. So we are liking images. And Saddha, sights. not sights, so sounds. Sorry. Rupa, images. Sadda, sounds. Whatever the sounds. And then Rupa, Sadda, Gandha. Gandha means smell. Whatever, agreeable, disagreeable. Rasa, taste. Pottabha, touch. So these 5 could be agreeable, disagreeable, maybe a mixture of those 2. But if there is any liking towards these 5 excessively or maybe normally, that is called karma, right? So then that karma is a flood that takes us in this sansaric ocean. Sansara was called as an ocean, right? So in that sansara ocean, this is one of the floods, right? Floods are not good, right? Yeah, take us. Don't know anyway. There is no any specific direction that the floods take us. The first flood is kamoga. That's called karma. The second one, bhava. What is bhava? Rupa bhavesu chandaragu jhana nikkanticha. So in Buddhist teachings or Buddhist cosmology, we know there are 31 places where the beings are going to be reborn. Does anybody of you remember what they are?
31 off the top of my head.
31, They are 31. Kama, Rupa, Arupa. But in this case, they are the only places that are relevant to Rupa and Arupa worlds. So how many Rupa worlds are there? And how many Arupa worlds are there? So what is Rupa and what is Arupa? There are beings which we call material beings, whereby we see that their body is very solid, but the mind is subtle. Whereas when you get to see Arupa beings, their body is subtle, but their mind is solid, right? But there are different interpretations as well. So then there are 16 Rupa worlds, let's say Rupa places, which are called Brahma Parisajja, Brahma Purohita. If you can take a look at the Dhammacakkappavattana Sutta, at the end of this sutta, you can see these Brahma worlds, individuals in these Brahma worlds, they said sadhu, and then actually not they said sadhu, the sound of Dhammacakka went as far as to these different Brahma worlds. There are 16 Brahma worlds, Rupa Brahma worlds. And there are 4 Arupa Brahma worlds as well, right? Now, if someone has any desire, any special liking to be born in one of these Rupa or Arupa worlds, that's called bhavoga, right? Now, it is also a flood, okay? And then what is ditti? Tva satti dittiyo ditto gunam. So how many dittis, views, were there at the Buddha time? We know there were 62 main views at the Buddha time. Can you remember the sutta that Buddha talks about these suttas? Brahmajala Sutta, the first sutta of Majjhima Nikaya. Like this sutta, right? First sutta of Samyutta Nikaya. So Buddha talks about 62 views that existed at the Buddha's time. I'll actually take a look of these views in a concise manner. Eternalism, partial eternalism. Some people said the world is finite. Some people said world is infinite. Some said self and world arise by chance. So, there were 62 views at the Buddha time. So, if anybody is clinging to these views, then that's called a flood. If someone is into these one of the views, then they have a flood called ditti oga. And the last one, which we call avijja, is called avijjoga. What is avijja? Ignorance, right? Ignorance about what? Chatusu satyesu anyana. Ignorance about the Four Noble Truths, right? What are they? What are the Four Noble Truths? Dukkha satya, the truth of dissatisfaction or suffering, say satisfaction. Dukkha samudaya arya satya, the truth, the origin of the dissatisfaction. And dukkha nirodha arya satya, the truth called extinction of the suffering or dissatisfaction. The last one called dukkha nirodha. Yeah, marga satya, right? What would be a better way to say that? Dukkha nirodha gamini patipada. There's a better way of saying that, right? So the truth call, the path which leads to the extinction of the dissatisfaction. So if somebody doesn't know what they are, not technically, like we all know technically what they are. If people don't know by experience about what they are, then that means we all are into avijja, ignorance. So that's also a flood. Now you know how many floods are there in this samsara. There are 4 floods: kama, bhava, ditthi, and avijja. Okay. Now the question was raised in a way: how did Buddha cross these 4 floods and then awaken by himself? What did Buddha say in Pali? Katannu twang marisa Oghatarana. Now the Devas addressed the Buddha by Marisa. What is Marisa? Marisa means dear sir. Now we get to see how the Devas, how the deities addressed the Buddha, not like the normal individuals. And Buddha said, Appatittam ko ahang avso anayuhang Oghamatare. These are combined actually. Appatittam and anayuhang. These are specific verbs that Buddha used to say. Neither standing nor swimming. Okay, sir, I crossed the flood. So Buddha says that he did not stand at one place and he did not swim. See how balanced was he actually. Now, this is a good example for our meditation practice as well, right? When you keep meditating, when you're doing anything, especially in the spiritual life or the secular life, do we stand in that particular activity or kind of like swim in that activity? Then it's going to be a problem. And then the Deva questioned back, but in what way did you cross the flood, neither standing nor swimming? Now, if this is a sansara as the ocean, and Buddha says, when I stood, and he had experience actually, his experiences by, by actually standing and swimming. He got to know they were not good actually. And he said, when I stood, I became submerged, and when I swam, I was swept away. So he says, Yada so ahang auso santittami. That means standing. Tadasu sansidam. So when I in the first place when I tried standing, I felt like I became, when I stood, when I became submerged in the flood, and when I swam, I felt like I was swept away. Though that was not very smooth in my spiritual practice. And actually, this deity was really, now the suttas, commentaries say this deity was kind of like proud about his knowledge, and he was kind of like embarrassed after these answers, and he vanished. And then he said, after a long time, I see a Brahmin extinguished, neither standing nor swimming. He has crossed over, clinging to the world. So the most important thing that we have to learn from this sutra is, when you are in a spiritual journey, you are not supposed to stand or swim in the samsara. So because you are taken away by the 4 floods, you need to go smoothly in your samsaric journey to the point that you really want. So that's the main thing in this sutra. And if I keep searching about what is kamoga, what is dittoga and bhavoga and avijjoga, I found abhidhammic explanations as well. Now, how many of you know some basic abhidhamma? Okay, now in the abhidhamma, there are 4 main parts, right? They say chitta, chaitasika, rupa, nibbana, right? They talk about 89 or 121 chittas, thoughts that that stay in mind of different people, normal individuals, enlightened beings, like that. And what are the chaitasikas? Mental factors that are employed in those thoughts. And then rupa, It's about the matter, and then nibbana. Now I found out what kind of thoughts that are existing in the mind of someone who has a lot of kamoga. Tatta kamosu attasu lobha sahagatesu chittesu uppajjati. So we have to take a look at what they are. In the Abhidhamma, they talk about 12 unwholesome thoughts. Out of them, there are 8 unwholesome thoughts. Those are the thoughts that come in the mind of someone who is into kamoga. So you can take a look at what they are. See, greed rooted with mental pleasure, with wrong view, unprompted. We call them, how do we call them? Somanasa sahagata, ditti parisanyutta, sasankarika, asankarika. So those are the 8 thoughts that come into mind of someone who is overly into kama. And for someone who is into bhava, has bhavosu chatusu dittigata vippayutta lobha sahagatesu chit. There are another 4 thoughts. You can see that someone who has desire, liking towards bhava, develops. And dittasu chatusu dittigata sampayuttesu chittu padesu uppajjati. You can notice someone who has a lot of views with, if that person want to share with, that person is actually having in their mind another 4 types of thoughts out of these 8. Avijjasu sabba akusalesu uppajjati. Now, avijja has no specific number of or type of thought. It is employed in all the bad thoughts, because that's why we are in the samsara. Okay, so now you know how did Buddha cross the samsaric ocean, by referring that ocean as kama, bhava, ditthi and avijja. And he was actually giving us kind of a metaphorical example, using a person who is trying to swim over to the other shore. He was telling that deity that he did not stand, swim, right? He was maintaining a smooth transition when he was crossing these 4 floods. Was it a very deep type of sutta? Kind of deep sutta, right? But it has a lot of insights that we can learn, especially when we are trying to practice spiritual things like meditation. Some people are too much into something, some people are too less into something. So then we have to find out that balance. So that's the most important thing. Otherwise, we will be submerging in the spiritual journey. Okay, so any questions?
At the end of the sutta, I think it says that the deity disappeared, right? Then
He disappeared. Yeah.
I was wondering if there's any kind of because does the deity disappear and kind of run away out of feeling embarrassed, or is it that the teaching given by the Buddha was so on point,
Precise,
that the deity achieved awakening? Because I know that for deities, if they achieve awakening, they usually just disappear.
Yeah.
Is that what occurred there, or is it the other? Which is the case?
There are 2 types of versions. Some say that this deity was kind of very haughty and very, someone who was too proud about what he knew, and that's why he actually vanished right away. Some people say that he was really happy. When you are so happy, when you get something, you're gonna leave, right? So, so these 2 work actually, but we can't exactly know what really happened. But he actually bowed down to the Buddha and then he vanished. So I guess the 2 versions are possible. Mm-hmm.
It's so deep. How can I make it simple? To understand, to my day-to-day life?
Well, I think this sutta talks about the balance of our spiritual journey.
Yes.
Because we all are struggling with these floods in our daily life, right? So if I say karma, that means sensual pleasures. Bhava, I mean, there are people who might not think that they want to attain Nibbana in this life. They might think, I want to be born in one of those 20 Brahma worlds. And then there are people who may have those 62 views. I think I have seen those people, at this time too, even though they do not understand by themselves that they have the same, views. And avijja, that is actually relevant to all of us, ignorance about Four Noble Truth as an experience. So in our day-to-day life, we all are struggling with these four floods. So when we are trying to do things like to attain Nibbana by different ways, meditation, doing kusalas, right? We need to find balance actually. Now, there is no ocean called sansara, but it's kind of a metaphorical expression, right? Sansara is an ocean. There are floods, right? Nobody's trying to swim the sansaric ocean. It's kind of a metaphorical suggestion. But Buddha asks us to find balance and then precision and then go on your path. Sometimes when we want to work on one flood, we might only work on that flood. We might largely ignore the rest of the three floods, right? Maybe a kind of a balance in, overcoming these four floods in our day-to-day life. Does it make sense?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And Deva was curious about Buddha's journey, right? But we can apply to us too. So this means even the Devas were also confused about how Buddha crossed the ocean, right? Devas were also confused. So it looks like it's, that means it is such a great journey. Because they are with a lot of comforts, right, in those heavens. So that's why they were really concerned.
Seems like in the long term, it's probably better if you had the choice of a rebirth in one of the heavenly realms or on Earth. So next time you come back, you got one of the two. It sounds like coming back as a human being and not in heaven would be a better bet because you'd not have all those comforts. You'd recognize the first noble truth more easily. Whereas for the Devas, it's really hard for them to even see truth number one, the satisfaction.
Yeah.
So it seems like a bit of a disadvantage.
When you have too much, comforts, you don't get to think, right? There's suffering in that. Rather, you changing the comforts. And I think the Brahmas are higher than the Devas as well. So the Brahma worlds are actually higher than the Deva worlds. And there is this kind of thing too. Like what we have to understand from this sutra, on the other hand, is we don't need to wish to be born in these Brahma worlds, but based on our good karma, we may be reborn in those Brahma worlds. But if people maintain an idea, okay, I'm going to be reborn as a Brahma, so that's going to be a flood. So one is having a hard time in crossing the ocean then, right? But naturally, one may be reborn in a Brahma world. That's okay. You can't do anything. But there are people who are doing good karma, kusala activities, only to be born in the Brahma worlds. So that's a flood.
You shouldn't expect anything like that, right?
Now Buddha's
When you do a good karma.
no, we need chanda. We need liking in a way to do good karma. So because those good karmas facilitate us to take us to Nibbana, because if you don't have done a lot of good karmas, then that might be a problem, setback. We need good karma. Even the devas, even the human beings, they all need good karma. But when someone is to do good karma simply to be born in a Brahma world or Deva world, that's kind of a problem. I'm not saying people can't do that, but it's going to be a problem. Especially in terms of Nibbana. But everyone has a choice. They can make a choice. Life is a choice, right? Unless you make it a complicated thing. It's always a choice. Especially in Buddhism, it's a choice. There is no hard and fast thing. Everybody must attain Nibbana. But Sansara, this ocean which has 4 floods, is a terrible, dangerous thing, because this life we know we are okay, but next life we never know what's gonna happen, right? So at a time we know that we are safe and we can look at these suttas and learn this Dhamma, so we can make a better choice, right? Okay, so if you have no other questions, so we can wrap this up by sharing good karmas with the departed relatives and the deities. May all the good karmas that we've been having be shared by all the departed relatives who passed away in the name of all of you. May they be happy and peaceful. May they attain the Nibbana, supreme bliss of Nibbana. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Idamme ñāti nang hotu sukita huntu ñātayo. Idamme ñāti nang hotu sukita huntu ñātayo. Idamme ñāti nang hotu sukita huntu ñātayo. Also, let's share all the good karmas with the deities, devas, brahmas who protect and bless all of us. May they be happy and peaceful. May they also attain the supreme bliss of Nibbana. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Ittavata cha amhehi sambatang punya sampadam. Sabbe deva anumodantu sabba sampatti sindhya. Ittavata cha amhehi sambatang punya sampadam. Sabbe bhuta anumodantu sabba sampatti sindhya. Ittavata cha amhehi sambatang punya sampadam. Sabbe satta anumodantu sabba sampatti sindhya. Finally, let's make a great wish. May all the good karmas we've been collecting by meditating, by discussing Dhamma, by sharing all the other good karmas with the departed relatives and the deities, help all of us to attain the supreme bliss of Nibbana. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Now monks will be reciting stanzas to bless all of you. Abhivadana silissa niccang vaddhapachayino chattaru dhamma vaddanti ayuvanno sukhang balang ayurarogya sampatti sagga sampatti mevacha ato nibbana sampatti iminate samijjatu. Okay. And now let's bow down 3 times to Buddha statue.